Keep going for now. Keep
I
going.
can't. It's broken. It's broken.
Hi guys, Jay here, and yep, it is broken. At the time of this recording, it's Tuesday, and you can see here the F1 Fantasy game is currently unavailable. The game is currently undergoing maintenance. The game will reopen shortly. Thank you for your patience. I checked this on my mobile app as well, and for some reason it was talking about the Emilia Grand Prix and that things would be fixed for Miami. So yeah, definitely things going wrong on F1 Fantasy. So I can't show you my team, but what I can tell you is that I did run the same team that I run in the United States Grand Prix. So I stuck with the team I had, which was Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz, Franco Colapinto, Valtteri Bottas, Zhou Guanyu, McLaren and Ferrari. I had Lando as my turbo driver. That's where I went wrong. I should have changed it to Sainz, but it is what it is. During practice, I was having mixed thoughts. I was really favouring the Ferrari until the final practice. And then I thought, well, actually, no, McLaren might actually be strong. Regardless, I'm not going to complain. I did end up with a good result. When it was available for me to check, it was about 295 points, I believe. But who knows, that could change because, again, the game's currently unavailable. So all I can really show you then from this weekend, and excuse me, I've not been feeling very well today, and I've had a busy weekend. So I was looking at the new elite data on Fantasy Tools, and what I found very interesting is straight away you can see here Leclerc and Sainz, their percentage change increased quite a lot. And if I click on this, you can see Leclerc and Sainz are now the top two transfers, I guess, driver changes. But also Tsunoda, poor Tsunoda, wasn't his fault, wasn't Albon's fault, it was just a racing incident. We'll come to that soon about my thoughts on RB. But yeah, Ferrari looking very, very strong. And it looks like a lot of people are feeling the same way. And Leclerc has an 11.8 turbo driver selection. So, can't talk. I'm not going to go too much into. I can't go into my fantasy team. What I will say, I was happy that Sainz won because obviously it gave me points, but it would have been better for me if Lando had won because it would have been even more points. Plus, I'm a McLaren fan, you know, if you watch my channel, so it'd be better. I'm just going to go into this really, really quickly. Just give you my thoughts on this whole thing, because during the Verstappen versus Hamilton season, I was behind Verstappen. Now I'm starting to really not like him, to be honest. Maybe I'm being biased because McLaren, Lando, but anyway, I've got some screenshots on my phone that I've uploaded to my computer. So this was the first incident. You can see we've got Max's front wing here, Lando well ahead, coming up to the apex. And here, still, Lando is ahead. And then Max runs Lando wide. And this is the issue I'm having with Max. I had it in Kota, and I had it this weekend, is he's pushing people wide, but he's being cheeky about it. He's trying to do it within the rules. At least that's my impression of what I'm seeing. And then the second incident, Lando is ahead, obviously not at the apex just yet. And then, I'll be honest with this one, I was kind of like 60-40. But again, you see here, and I appreciate they said about like his understeer and that, but he's going this way. The car's going in this direction. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but it's going forward, it's not going round. And obviously that pushed Lando off track. So, yeah, not very pleased with Max at the moment, to be honest. But that's because I'm being biased as a fan, but also it's like in football when people hold each other's shirts. It winds me the hell up. Like, send them off. If you grab someone's shirt, just send them off. It does my head in. So yeah, anyway, in terms of my team selection going into this weekend, I can't obviously show or give my thoughts too much. I I'd either be sticking with my current team. The only other thing I could really do is sacrifice Lando and go for a triple Ferrari, and that may give me some budget to bring in like an Albon. I think from memory, but until the game's back up and running, I would say my options right now is stick with my current team or run a triple Ferrari. And obviously, being a sprint weekend, I'll be trying to watch practice quite closely. So, with that said, and because of this, I'm not going to go into the league standings or anything like that because they might not be accurate. So with that said, I've looked up the results from last year's sprint and Grand Prix, and I'm focusing here just on Max and Lando for a sec. So in the sprint, Lando got pole, Max got P2, and then in the sprint, it was reversed. Max got the win, Lando coming in second. If I go to the Grand Prix, again, it was Max and Lando. This time Max had pole, but Lando came from 6th position up into 2nd. Now, Ferrari didn't have a good day last year at Brazilian Grand Prix. Carlos finished in 6th after starting in 7th, but Charles Leclerc had a hydraulics issue, and so he was a retiree. In fact, with DNS, in fact, we've got 6 cars that didn't finish the race. George Russell's there as well, oil temperature. But yeah, 6 cars didn't finish the race. That doesn't bode well. Bottas and Zhou Guanyu both didn't finish, nor did Albon as well. So yeah, it might not bode well for our back markers if you're thinking of using any of those. Now, as for fantasy points last year, Norris and Verstappen, 1st and 2nd. Norris with 57 points, Verstappen with 54. So let's see, Norris got the fastest lap and the driver a day. But then Alonso was in 3rd and Stroll was in 5th fantasy points. So don't expect this to look anything like how it does for this year, other than maybe Norris and Verstappen. But yeah, I mean, like, Sainz is all the way down here in, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th, and Leclerc's all the way down here. Besides Norris and Verstappen, I wouldn't read into last year's scores, to be honest, because, I mean, even the Alpines are up there. But it's going to be, I expect it to be a very, very different F1 fantasy scoring. So, yeah. Now, talking of this weekend's Brazilian Grand Prix, it's still looking like it's going to be wet. So this is weather.com, and Friday looks like it's going to be dry, but then Saturday we've got a little rain by the looks of it, and then Sunday heavier rain. Obviously, I can't remember what the local. I think it's going to be 2 o'clock in Brazil. I think I could be wrong, but I'm gonna suspect it's going to be a wet race by the looks of things. So, on that, final thoughts going into the Brazilian Grand Prix this weekend. Bet on Ferrari, 100%. They are on fire right now, and I think they could sneak the title. If we go to the standings, if my computer will let me. So, for the constructors, 29 points. Ferrari just 29 points behind, if my maths is correct. And I, fearfully as a McLaren fan, I do think Ferrari, if they get a result this weekend, they could sneak in at the end of the season and take the title. I really do. I think Red Bull are out of the running now, to be honest, unless they do something drastic. And so I do think it's now McLaren and Ferrari, and I hate to say it, but I think Ferrari may sneak it. In terms of Drivers' Championship, I want Lando to win. I really do, but I've just got this gut feeling that Max is going to steal it at the end. I hope I'm wrong, but that's my thoughts there. So, in terms of turbo driver, Norris, Piastri, Leclerc, or Sainz for your ×2 or even your ×3 if you've got the chip. It's a difficult one. Depending on the data in practice and sprint quali, it could go either way. Like I say, this past weekend I should have made Sainz my turbo driver, but I stuck with Norris, and obviously Norris still got second place, but Sainz won. So I think it's very difficult to call at the moment who to play turbo driver as. I'm swaying more towards the Ferraris, but it all depends on practice and sprint quality. But yeah, I would definitely say it's one of those four. It's got to be one of those four that's going to be your times 2 or your times 3 if you've got the chip. RB driver's worth the risk. RB didn't have a good time in Mexico. Oh, I put Mexi. Changed that. I will edit this for the video. RB didn't have a good time in Mexico, so I would reserve judgment unless you are 100% sure it's worth the risk. I think this goes for Albon as well in the Williams. I mean, poor Albon's had the most DNFs this season, I believe. Yuki's had a bad season. Lawson did great in Kota. Didn't do that great this past weekend. Obviously, had that little tussle with Perez. I don't know with RBs. I think it's a risk game. I think it's become a risk game with the RBs. I don't have the RBs in my team, but I do think it's a risk game with the RBs. So obviously, your call. And as I said, weather forecast looks like it's going to be a wet one. So if you've got your final fix, might be a good time to play your final fix, given the weather. So other things I've just come across, there was a tweet by Sim3744 yesterday, which would have been Monday. George Russell confirms that 19 out of 20 drivers were in agreement on F1 racing guidelines being updated, not just for 2025, but immediately. He revealed that all but one driver was happy for the stewards to change their approach, with penalising certain incidents immediately after Austin rather than wait until 2025 new guidelines. And then there's a link to the source, which is on autosport.com. And I'll put the link in the description. But, Russell was very happy with that outcome, as I guess 19 out of the 20 were. But that the driver's view was like, don't wait till 2025, just change it now. Just change it now. And Russell did go on to say, and I'm glad to see those incidents were punished, and I suspect moving forward in Brazil that we saw today and what we saw last week, you won't be able to get away with. Talking of, obviously, the Verstappen Norris incidents. Otherwise, on F1.com, again, there's talks about Perez potentially losing his seat, and Christian Horner has come out now and said there comes a point in time that difficult decisions have to be made. Again, link in the description. He'll be running in Brazil, as far as I know, at the time of recording, but I think Brazil's maybe his last shot, possibly, because obviously we've got a week's break after that, or 2 weeks break, I can't remember. But yeah, I think it's make or break this weekend for Checo in Brazil. And finally, this gave me a giggle. Carlos Sainz photo bombing Lando and the McLaren team after their P2, which I think is brilliant, and brings back the the car Lando vibe, and we know Lando and Carlos are great friends, and yeah, I just think that's a nice little touch by Carlos. Can't believe he's going to be in a Williams next season. It's crazy. So yeah. So that's going to be it for me for this video, guys, because obviously I can't really do much. I'm not expecting too many team changes now, in teams, just because of where we're at in the season, people's budgets and stuff. I don't think I'll be changing my team that much now, to be honest. Probably very rarely, if any. But yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. And sorry that the video's been delayed this week. I had a hospital appointment on Monday, then I haven't felt too great this morning. But so this is Tuesday afternoon, and I'll hopefully have this for you Wednesday. And I'll talk to you next week. All the best. Peace.